Hi, my name is Phyllis Fagell, and I am the author of Middle School Matters, and I'm also a middle school counselor. And I talk to kids a lot, both in my job and at other schools. And one of the things I talk to middle schoolers about, and I shared this with the adults in your life the other night as part of the Glenn Bard parenting series, is that I like to talk about how fragile middle school friendships are. Not because I want to talk about them as this negative experience that you have to endure, but because there's a real purpose behind why they're so fragile. And I always share some statistics. First of all, only 2/3 of friendships last from fall to spring of sixth grade. If researchers ask kids to nominate their best friend, to say who their best friend is, only half of the kids they named say that they're also their best friend. About 12% of kids have no one name them as a friend at all. And from seventh grade to 12th grade, only about 1% of friendships go that whole distance. And this isn't because there's something inherently wrong with the kids who are being left behind, although it can be incredibly painful. It's because middle school is when you're learning what you can give to a friend. Middle school is when you're learning what you need from a friend who makes it possible for you to be yourself, who makes you laugh, even better to have a real belly laugh, versus kids who are fair weather friends or maybe friends only 80% of the time and 20% of the time they're not your friend. And sometimes those are the hardest friendships to leave behind because you're still getting something out of them. And even though it's real heartbreak, and even though these friendships are shifting, it's not personal. This is something that every single middle schooler goes through. It does get better. It gets better in high school when you start to have more secure friend groups. And also, I want to point out to everybody who's listening that social status isn't fixed. So if you don't like where you are in the pecking order right now, that doesn't mean you're going to be in the same place forever. Kids who are mean can change. There's a lot of growth and maturation that happens in these years. So you don't want to blow up your friendships. If you need to take a break, if you need a little bit of distance, that's something that's really natural, but try to do it as organically as possible. That means avoiding the instinct to maybe post something mean or to spread gossip or do something that might hurt somebody else. That usually comes back to hurt you, especially if later on you do decide you want to be their friend. And in fact, I would recommend doing the reverse. As often as possible, whenever you have the opportunity, celebrate your friends' accomplishments. Even post about them on social media, especially if it's not anything that has to do with shallow things like appearance or going to a party, but instead is something that they feel proud about accomplishing. Maybe they did something for a charity or they did something that required bravery, like run for student council. And the good thing is when you do share your friends' successes, it kicks off this positive cycle. They really want to reciprocate. And so if I'm going to leave you with one thought from today, it's that middle schoolers are not mean. They're not drama seeking, even though that is the reputation that they have in popular media. I don't think I've ever asked a middle schooler if they've seen Mean Girls and had them say no. So you're up against a really negative dialogue about middle schoolers. But in my experience, and I've worked with a lot of middle schoolers, kids really do want to do right by one another. They want to be good people. And if they make mistakes or if they wound someone, 90% of the time is accidental. It's because they're still working on building their empathy or developing those social skills. So try to assume positive intent, to assume that your friends want the best for you. And when you do have those inevitable miscommunications, try to have a really open conversation about it and to keep an open mind. And even though these years are hard, they're really fun. And I hope that you make some really great friendships and that some of them even go the distance all the way to 12th grade.